Hi everybody, I am Dr. D.S. Thaure. Now I share the screen of today's lecture in front of you. Please wait. Welcome to the sixth lecture of course number Path 365. Title of this course, Diseases of Field and Horticultural Crops and Their Management Second. Okay, so before you were start the midterm exams, we discussed and covered the 5 lectures. Okay, so keep in mind. Then today's we discuss about the lecture number 6, that is a rust disease of field crops. Okay, so today's we will discuss about this rust disease seen in different field crops, that is a black stem rust of wheat caused by Puccinia graminestratici, brown rust or leaf rust of wheat caused by Puccinia recondita, yellow rust or stripe rust of wheat caused by Puccinia striformis, rust of sunflower caused by Puccinia helanthi, rust of linseed caused by Melanopsora lini, rust of pea caused by Euromyces fabi, and last one, rust of lentil caused by Euromyces vessia fabi. Okay, so this is the rust disease seen in different field crops. Okay, so see one by one. Okay, so first of all, we will discuss about rust disease seen in wheat crop. Okay, so in wheat crop, the rust symptoms generally seen on all the growing variety of the wheat and produces the 3 types of the rust. But in Maharashtra, only one or two type of the disease seen in wheat crop. Okay, so in the wheat crop, 3 types of the rust are seen. First one is the black stem rust. This rust is also known as the stem rust. Okay, then second one brown rust or leaf rust, and third one yellow rust or stripe rust. So within or out of these three type of the rust seen in wheat crop, in Maharashtra only brown rust or maybe black rust disease are seen. Okay, in Maharashtra, yellow rust or stripe rust cannot be seen because this type of the rust generally seen in cooler parts of the India, especially in Uttar Pradesh or some parts of the Punjab also. Okay, so in Maharashtra, only two type of the rust are seen. First one brown rust and black stem rust. Okay, so first of all, we see these black stem rust disease. Okay, so you look at these pictures. Okay, means this Puccinia pathogen infect to the wheat crops and produces the typical symptoms, majorly seen on the stem portion as compared to the leaf or leaf sheath or air portions. Okay, means majorly this type of the pathogen on which symptoms majorly seen on this stem portion. So that's why this rust is known as the stem rust. Okay, means after the actual entry of this Puccinia pathogen within these wheat plants, so this epidermis layer generally break and to produce the spores, and these spores or these pustules generally emerge out through the breakdown the layer of the epidermis. Means in black stem rust, initially reddish brown color pustules seen on this surface of the stems as well as the leaf surface or other parts of the wheat crops. Okay, means initially reddish brown Iridopustules generally seen. Pustules means raised portion, and this raised portion generally comes out after the breakdown the layer of the epidermis. Okay, so that's why this elongated reddish brown iridopustules generally seen. Okay, so these iridopustules become darker, means at the time of the crop mature or after the development of the iridopustules on this stem portion or other portion of the leaf. So that's why these iridopustules release the uh, reddish brown powders. Means these iridopustules develop the spores, and this spores is known as the iridospores. Okay, means these iridospores generally release from these pustules and landing on the other healthy one plants. Okay, means after the maturity of these pathogens, these reddish brown or bricks red color change to the somewhat black in colors. Means this black color represent as a formation of the other spores, and this spores is known as the talitospores. Means these iridopustules become mature and develop the talitopustules on the same lesions, on the stem portion or on the leaf portions. Okay, means these iridopustules become dark in color, or at the development of these iridopustules finally develop the talitopustules, and these talitopustules generally black in color, having the talitospores are present or teleospores are present. Okay, means in last stage of the infection, these stems having the lesions generally black in colors. Okay, means in severe infection or in warmer or humid conditions, these blackish pustules generally spread on this surface of the stems or other surface of the leaves. So that's why these infected stems somewhat may be weakened. Means these infected wheat plants on which stems generally lesions are developed. So these infected plants may be losing textbooks because the several lesions are seen on this stem portion. So this infected stem become weakened. Okay. So this type of the symptoms seen on the black stem rust. Okay. Then second most important disease also seen on the wheat crop, and this symptom or is known as the brown rust or leaf rust. So this brown rust is also known as the leaf rust. Means on the wheat plants, this brown rust pathogen infect to the majorly leaf portion as compared to the stem portion or bloom portion or on portions. Means majorly symptoms seen on the leaf portion. So that's why this rust is also known as the leaf rust. Okay, so in this case, initially small circular to oval orange spots seen on the upper side of the leaf in the infected wheat plants. Okay, so these spots develop into orange color. Means the initially orange pustules or orange colored pustules seen on the infected upper side of the wheat leaf. Okay, so somewhat these orange colored pustules produce a large number of spores, and this large number of the pustules having the orange color spores, and this spores is known as the iridospores. Means orange color iridospore generally develop in the iridopustules on the leaf sheath or on the surface of the leaf. Okay, so in the favorable conditions or at the disease progresses, the orange colored iridopustules turns to the talitopustules having the teleospores are produced. Okay, means tiny orange lesions may be present on the leaf portion or other portion of the plants, and this tiny orange lesions turns to the black in colors, means development of the teleospores. Okay, then last, that is a yellow rust or stripe rust. So in this case, the this rust is easily identified because the lemon yellow pustules generally lined at typical stripe patterns on the leaf portion as compared to the stem portion or on portion or bloom portions. Means this yellow rust is also seen on the leaf portion than the leaf sheath or stem portion or other bloom portions. Okay, means initially bright yellow pustules or iridopustules appears on the leaf at the early stage of the crop, and pustules are arranged in linear row patterns or stripe patterns. So these stripes are generally yellow to orange yellow in colors. But in the disease progresses, these orange yellow iridopustules turns to the dull black in colors. Okay, so this is the symptoms seen on the wheat crop and develop the black stem rust, brown rust, and yellow rust. Okay, so group this rust on the basis of color of pustules and which parts of the plant to be affected by these pathogens. So this is known as the black rust, brown rust, and yellow rust. Okay, so this yellow rust cannot seen in Maharashtra state because this yellow rust having the or require the cooler climate to develop the spores. Okay, so you can easily see this bright orange or bright yellow pustules or stripes generally seen on the surface of the leaf, and this is the easily identify from the brown rust or black rust. Okay, so this is the three type of the rust seen in these pictures: black rust, brown rust, and yellow rust. Okay, then I already discussed about the which plant parts mostly affect by the black rust or brown rust or yellow rust. Okay, Then initially Eurydosauri means Eurydopastules generally develop on the surface of the leaf or surface of the stems, and these lesions generally break down from the epidermis layer and develop the Eurydopastules. Means these Eurydopastules are generally larger than the brown rust and yellow rust. Okay, means uridopastules means pastules. It is a raised portion seen on the affected portion of the wheat. Okay, so these initially uridopastules. Uridopastules means these pastules containing the uridospores. Means initially uridopastules are developed, and these pastules having the uridospores are produced, and these spores generally means these uridopastules uh, generally dark brown to bricks red in color in regarding the black rust. Then brown rust, that is a bright orange colored uridopastules are developed on the leaf surface, and also yellow rust, lemon yellow color uridopastules seen on the leaf portions. So these uridopastules produce the uridospores, and these uridospores generally red to brown in color and typical oval shape in colors. Sorry, oval in shape. Then spores in regarding the brown rust. These uridospores are generally bright orange in color and having the round shape. Okay, then in yellow rust, uridospores are lemon yellow and generally round shape, and having the different size according to the uh, geographical areas. Okay, then these uridopastules become darker and develop the talitopastules or talitosauri. Means talitopastules generally black in color. Means in all the three cases, these talitopastules are generally light black to dull black in colors. And these talitopastules having the teleospores is always black in color in these three cases. Okay, so these talitopastules having the teleospores are generally two-celled. In regarding the iridospores, one-celled. In teleospores, generally two-celled and pointed at the apex. In case of the brown rust, teleospores are round at the apex. Teleospores are round in shape with flattened apex. Okay, means iridospores generally single cell and teleospores are two-celled or bicelled. Okay, means you can identify the properly black rust, brown rust and yellow rust on the shape of the teleospores. Okay, suppose these teleospores having the two cell, and these teleospores generally pointed at the apex, so you can properly identify this is known as the black rust. Okay, so you just see this shape of the uridospores and talitospores or teleospores. Okay, so this is the single celled uridospores having the some spiny structures are present. Okay, so this is the single celled uridospores present in these uridopastules. After maturation of these uridopastules, the talitopastules are produced on the same lesions, and these talitopastules having these teleospores are present. So this is the two-celled teleospores are present or talitospores. This is the one cell and second cells. Means two-celled or bicelled teleospores are present within the talitopastules, and this is the single cell produced on these uridopastules. So you can easily uh, identify the shape of the uridospores and shape of the teleospores or talitospores. Okay, so this black rust, this teleospores or talitospores is two-celled, and this pointed portion or this apex portion of this teleospores is always pointed in natures. Okay, so this is the pointed apex teleospores are present in black rust. Okay, then in regarding the brown rust, this is the round apex teleospores is present in brown type of the rust. And in regarding the stripe rust, this is the apex portion is flattened in nature, means flattened apex type of the teleospores is present in yellow rust or stripe rust. Okay, so this is the pointed apex in teleospores produced in black rust, rounded apex type of the teleospores present in brown rust, and yellow rust flattened type of the apex portion of teleospores is present. Okay, then this wheat rust is a heteroceous in nature, or heteroceous type of the rust. Heteroceous rust means the pathogen require the more than one host is required to complete the life cycle. Okay, means here the rust disease or rust pathogen complete their life cycle on wheat crop as well as other alternate host, means they require the wheat crop as well as the alternate host for complete the life cycle of the Puccinia pathogens. Means some spores is present or produced on the main wheat crop as well as remaining other spores present or produced on the alternate host. Okay, alternate host means the pathogen survival on the other host, means other than the main host. Okay, so this host is required the alternate host, means this pathogen survival on the other than main host, this host is known as the alternate host. Okay, so in black or stem rust, in the absence of the wheat crop, the some spores also be developed on the barberry plant, that is a Barberries vulgaris or Mahonia plant. Means barberry and Mahonia, this is the alternate host for complete the life cycle of the Puccinia graminis tritici. Then in regarding the brown rust or leaf rust, Thalictrum polygamum, means this weed species acts as an alternate host to complete the life cycle of the Puccinia recondita. And in regarding the yellow rust or stripe rust, Bromus japonicus, means this is the Japanese brome grass present on the everywhere to complete the life cycle of the Puccinia stripe formis. Means in the means after the harvest of the wheat crop, the pathogens may be survival on the other alternate host, and this alternate host is present in the hilly areas, means Himalaya regions, or maybe uh, in regarding the Karnataka states, means uh, in hilly portion, or Nilgiri and Pulini Hills station located in the South India, means in the Nilgiri and Pelini Hills, the some grasses and self-sown wheat crop generally survival in optimum temperature range. Okay, then perpetuations means primary infection and secondary infections. So primary infection, that is iridospores present on the self-sown wheat crop in the hilly areas, because already wheat crop is harvested in plain region, in particularly Maharashtra states. Means after harvest, means this harvesting stage of the wheat generally seen in Maharashtra, that is in the month of the March to April month. Okay, so after April month, the increase the temperature of that Maharashtra states. So in high temperature, these iridospores and other spores cannot survive. So in this case, these iridospores and other spores is totally dies in high temperature in the month of the April and May month. Okay, so in same month or same case, the in the month of the April and May month, these spores is survival on the other alternate host, which is present in the Nilgiri Hills, Polini Hills, and Himalaya regions, in particularly north as well as the south regions. So after means in the month of the means in the next seasons, means these wheat crop generally is sown in the month of the October to November month. These uh, spores generally survival on the alternate host. Means after the development or after the wheat crop sown in the soil, in particularly Maharashtra states, so this crop reach to at the flowering stage or at the maturity stage, means in the month of the February to March month, these iridospores means these spores liberated from this alternate host and directly landing on the main wheat crop sown in the Maharashtra states, means travel these spores from South India or North India, survival on the alternate host and directly deposit on the wheat crops sown in the Maharashtra states. Okay, so in this way, primary infection takes place through self-sown wheat crops in both the three cases. And secondary infection, that is a iridospore generally present, and these iridospores develop in the iridopastules. So this number of the iridospores generally liberated or released through the breakdown the layer of the iridopastules and just landing on the healthy one plants. Okay, so in this way the healthy one plants to be infect. So in this way spread the disease from one plot to the another plot, or one field to the another field, or one plant to the another field through airborne or windborne iridospores. Okay, so you see these barberry plants acts as an alternate host, and this alternate host survival in hilly areas, in particularly Nilgiri or Kulini Hills or maybe Himalaya regions. Then this is the Mahonia plants. Means these barberry plants and Mahonia plants act as alternate host for black stem rust of wheat. This is the Thalictrum polygamum species, acts as alternate host for brown rust. And this is the Japonicus, means Broma japonicus plants or grass, acts as alternate host for yellow rust seen in particularly Uttar Pradesh states. Okay, so this is the symptoms, then perpetuation, then etiological parts, about the Puccinia triformis or Puccinia recondita and Puccinia that is a Puccinia triticale. Okay, so now we actually see the what is the life cycle of the black stem rust or other rust seen in the wheat crop. Okay, so in Puccinia graminis triticale, means these pathogens produces the 5 types of the spores on the different crops, means some spores produced on the wheat crop and some spores or remaining spores present on these barberry plants. Okay, means in Puccinia graminis triticale, this pathogen produces the pycnospores, aciospores, iridospores, teleospores, and basidiospores. Means 5 types of the spores present to complete the life cycle of the Puccinia graminis triticale. Okay, so out of the 5 spores, the pycnospores and aciospores generally produced on the barberry plant. Barberry plant, this is the alternate host. Means in the absence of the main wheat crop, the pycnospores or spermagonia spores and aciospores, these 2 spores generally produced on the barberry plant. Okay, means after harvest, the means after harvest of the wheat crop, the basidiospores generally landing on the alternate host, means on the barberry plants. So on the leaf of the barberry plant, some pycnidium fruiting bodies are produced. Means pycnidium is a asexual spore fruits. This pycnidium is a asexual spore fruits having the flask shapes and containing the receptive hypa and spermatia. Spermatia means male organs and receptive hyphae acts as a female organs. Means this on the leaf of the barberry plant, male spermatia and receptive hyphae generally fuse to each other and to produce the pycnidiospores within these pycnidium fruiting bodies. Means after few hours, this pycnidium fruiting body generally produced on the upper side of the barberry leaf. Okay, but after few hours, this hypa also grows on the underside of the leaf, and means these symptoms also be seen on the lower side of the barberry leaf. Means cup shaped or saucer shaped acium asexual spore fruits are produced on the lower side of the same leaf containing the aciospores are produced. Okay, means in regarding the pycnidiospores produced within this pycnidium, and in acium aciospores are produced, and these aciospores means pycnidiospores and aciospores generally survival on the barberry plant, but means in next seasons, means after sowing of the wheat crop in the Maharashtra states, these aciospores generally liberated from this barberry plant and travel these spores from hilly areas to the plain region in Maharashtra and directly landing on the leaf of the wheat crops. So somewhat these uridopastules is developed on the stem portion as well as the leaf portions. Means these uridopastules develop the teleospores. So this is the these uridopastules develop the uridospores, and these uridospores generally emerge out from the break down the layer of this epidermis layer of the leaf or maybe stems. Means they emerge out the uridospores from these infected lesions, and this uridospores is single celled, having some spiny structures are present. Okay, so this uridospores is liberated from these uridopastules and remain landing on the same plant or other healthy one plant. So in this way secondary infection generally takes place through these uridospores uh, with the help of the air or air currents. Okay, so these uridopastules become mature and develop the black colors. So this black color means formation of the teletopastules. So these teletopastules having the teleospores are produced, and these teleospores is always two celled. This is the one cell and second cell. Okay, means two celled teleospore is emerge out from the teletopastules. So these teleospore germinate under the favorable conditions and to produce the single basidium. Means these teleospores germinate and develop the single or single basidium. So single basidium having the stigmata means basidiospores is produced on this four-celled promycelia. Okay, so this is the basidiospore produced at the stigmata portion of this basidium. Okay, means this basidiospores is liberated from this wheat plant and directly landing on the barberry plant, because this wheat crop is already harvested, and during the hot climate these basidiospores cannot survive. So these basidiospores travel the distance, or these basidiospores directly landing on the some grasses present on nearby the field, or present in the hilly areas. So these basidiospores germinate on the surface of the barberry plant. Okay, so in this way complete the life cycle of the Puccinia graminis tritici on the barberry plant and on the wheat crop, and produces the phyospores, pycnospores and aciospores develop on the barberry plant, and uridospores, teleospores and basidiospores develop on the main wheat crops. Okay, means this barberry plant infect through these basidiospores, and main wheat crop infect to these aciospores liberated from this barberry plant. Okay, so properly understood this life cycle of the Puccinia graminis tritici. Okay, so this is the also diagram of the Puccinia graminis tritici life cycle. Okay, so this is the SCM, means inverted cup. SCM fruiting body generally develop at the lower side of these barberry leaf, and on the upper side pycnospores means pycnidium fruiting bodies are developed. So these aciospore directly landing on the grass post or maybe wheat crop and develop the uridopustules. So these uridopustules having the spores liberated from these pustules and directly landing on the nearby grass or in the wheat crop. So in this way, secondary infection takes place, and these pustules develop the teleos pustules. So these teleos pustules having the teleospores is present, and these teleospores germinate under the favorable condition to produce the promycelia. So this basidospore generally produced uh, on the surface of this basidium, and this basidospore directly infect to the alternate hosts and develop the pycnidium and ascium protein bonds. Okay, so this is the life cycle of the Puccinia styrofoams. The same spores is developed on the alternate host and main host on the three type of the rust. It just differ, that is a name of the alternate host. Okay, then last one, how to control these three type of the rust seen in the wheat crop. So first one, eradicate the self-sown wheat crop seen in plain area of the Maharashtra as well as the hilly areas, because primary infection takes place through these grasses or alternate hosts present in that locality. So you can properly eradicate, is to break down the chain of the aciospores and pycniospores present on the alternate host. Suppose any one spores is present or not developed, so this life cycle cannot complete. Suppose in alternate host, pycniospores are present or developed, but aciospores is not developed. So these aciospores cannot infect to the wheat crop. So in this way, break the chain of these spores. Means they require the more than two hosts on which produces the five type of the spores. Then adjust the time of sowing or avoid late sowing. In Maharashtra, the brown rust or black rust generally seen in the month of the February to March months. So you can adjust the date of sowing of the wheat so taller or avoid the disease in the month of the March or April month. Then growing resistant variety. So this is the number of the variety. It's somewhat resist to uh, rust disease. Then indiscriminate use of the nitrogen fertilizer, because you can apply the excess dose of the nitrogen. So luxurious growth will be seen on the wheat crop. So these green parts having the chlorophyll. So these pathogen, that is a Puccinia, directly prefer these green parts or greeny leaf of the wheat crop. Means you can uh, minimize or minimum use of the nitrogen and also use the potash and phosphatic fertilizers. Then seed dressing with the Plantapax 2 to 3 gram per kg of the seed. Or suppose these uropastules may be seen on the wheat crop, so you can manage or you can eradicate these uridospores seen on the wheat crop by spraying the crop with some fungicide, that is Plantavax 0.2% or Zynab at the rate of 0.25% or Mancozeb at the rate of 0.25% or uh, also you use the Plantavax or propiconazole at the rate of 0.05% at 15 days intervals. Okay, means uh, these rust disease you can manage by uh, using the most recently fungicides, that is triazole groups, that is propiconazole, triazole, then hexaconazole. So this is the name of the fungicide which is effective against these rust disease seen in the field crops. Okay, so this is the basic information about the three type of the rust seen in the wheat crops. Okay, so you can properly understood the information about the rust disease. Then sunflower crops also show the rust disease. Okay, so this is the small circular orange to black pustules seen on the leaf portions. So these pustules just spread to the entire surface of the leaf of the sunflowers, and these pustules release the spores that is known as the iridospores. So this pathogen is also infect to the uh, floral bracts and head portion of the sunflowers. Means all the aerial plant parts of the sunflower infect and showing the rust symptoms. Okay, means on the surface of the leaf or uh, floral bract or head portion, somewhat small circular reddish pustules seen, but these reddish pustules turns to the black in colors, means finally develop the teleospores. So symptom is the same. Then causal organism Puccinia helanthe. So this Puccinia helanthe is also heterothallic in natures. So macrocyclic, this pathogen is a macrocyclic heterothallic autoceous producing all the stages of the spores on the sunflower. Okay, in just wheat crop, the Puccinia pathogen is heteroceous in nature. Okay, heteroceous in nature means these pathogen require the more than two hosts for complete the life cycle. But in this case, this Puccinia helanthe produces the five type of the spores on the same sunflower crops. They cannot require the alternate host. But in regarding the wheat rust, they require the alternate host. Otherwise, they cannot complete the life cycle. Okay, means autoceous means they complete the life cycle of the pathogen on the only one host, that is a sunflower. Then macrocyclic means five types of the spores is present on the same host crop, that is known as the macrocyclic. Then heterothallic means the male and female nuclei generally develop on the different thallus bodies. Okay, so in case of the Puccinia helanthe produces the pycnospores, aciospores, iridospores, teleospores, and basidospores. Okay, on the same sunflower crops. So pycnospore stage is known as the zero, means zero stage number 0 to stage number 4 is present on the same sunflower crops. Okay, so this is the teleospores and iridospores develop on the sunflower plants. This is the disease cycle of the Puccinia helanthe on the sunflower crops. Then primary infection, secondary infection is the same. Then control measure is same. Is only growing resistant variety, that is a modern EC 684142 or Surya. So these three variety is resist against these rust disease seen in the wheat, sorry, the sunflower crops. Then crop rotation at least 3 years. Then remove the volunteer sunflower plants. Okay, then rust of linseed. Okay, so on the linseed plant, bright orange color pustules seen on the leaf portion, stem portion, floral bracts portion, and also the capsules. Okay, means all the aerial plant parts of the linseed develop the orange bright pustules. So these orange bright pustules develop the iridospores and also the teleospores. Okay, so this is the bright orange iridopustules seen on the leaf portion as well as the sepal portion as well as the also capsule portion of the linseed. Then this is the iridospores generally produced on these infected lesions. So these irido spores develop the teleospores, and these teleospores also uh, germinate under the favorable conditions and to produce the basidospores, and these basidospore directly infect with the linseed crop. Okay, so causal organism Melanopsora linea. Okay, so morphological characters is same. So in regarding the teleospores, generally cylindrical and one-celled, but in regarding the Puccinia pathogen, teleospore is always two-celled or bicelled. This is the major difference of the Melanopsora genera and Puccinia genera. Okay, Melanopsora having the teleospores and iridospores is always a single celled, sessile and brown in color. So this is the disease cycle of the rust disease seen in the linseed crop. Okay, perpetuation is same, that is this rust is also known as the autoceous rust. Primary infection takes place on the cell sown crop present in the Kangra valleys or western Himalayas, means Himachal Pradesh, and secondary infection, that is iridospores from the infected plants through wind or airborne. Then this is the control measures, that is showing resistant variety type 1, VA, RR. This is the cultivars resist against the rust disease seen in the linseed crop. Then next one, rust of pea. Okay, so this rust disease also be seen on the pea plants and produces the typical symptoms on the leaf portion. Okay, so this is the leaf portion, this is the stem portion or side branching or tendril portion of the pea plants. Means light brown to golden pustules seen on the lower side of the pea plants. Also, these light brown to golden pustules seen on the stem portions. Okay, so these light brown to golden pustules develop the iridospores. Later on, these iridopustules turns to the teletopustules and develop the teleospores. So this is the rounded to angular yellow color asciospores is developed on the same pea plants. Okay, so this infected leaf and tendril portion become necrotic because these pustules is spread to the entire surface of the leaf. So these tissue is totally necrotic and just burning in appearance. Okay, so this is the iridopustules and this is the teletopustules. So these teletopustules or this erum portion generally break down, or outer covering of these pustules is break and release the spores. Then causal organism Euromyces fabi. Then etiology is same. This Euromyces fabi is also known as the heteroceous rust. Then this is the life cycle or disease cycle of the Euromyces fabi. Okay, so this is the infected pea plants having the some uridopustules are produced. So these uridopustules having the uridospores as well as the teleospores, and means after harvest these fungus carried out in the seed or crop debris or as alternate sorry these collateral host, and so these spores also be infect to the uh, crops. So in this way, complete the life cycle of the Euromyces have been seen on the pea plants. Okay, perpetuation is same. Then control measure is also same. Spray fungicide like Balaton, Calaxin, Diethane. So this three fungicide is also effective instead of the triazole group fungicide or Zynep fungicides. Then last one, rust of lentil. So on the lentil plants, orange or brown pustules seen on the leaf portion, and these pustules is sprayed on the this infected leaf. So somewhat retard the photosynthesis process also. Okay, so these orange or brown pustules turns to the somewhat dark brown pustules having the teleospores are seen, and these teleospores generally seen on the lower side of the lentil plants. Okay, causal organism Euromyces bacillia fabi. So this pathogen is also known as the Autoceus rust, completing its life cycle on only one lentil plants. So Aciospore, Iridospores, Teleospores, Pycnospores, and Aciospores is developed on the lentil plants. Perpetuation that is self-sown lentil plants or some weed species, and secondary infection wind-borne iridospores. Okay, then management is same. Also these lentil seeds is treated with agrosan at the rate of 2 gram per kg of seed to control the seed-borne inoculum or some control the volunteer plants seen that is a weed host in summer months. Okay, then some sanitation programs also run to control the primary infection as well as the secondary infections. Okay, so this is the today's lectures. In today's lecture, we discussed about rust disease seen in the wheat crop, sunflower crop, pea crop, lentil crop, and linseed crops. Okay, so in short, these Puccinia or Euromyces genera produce the rust disease on the field crops and produce these symptoms. Means initially iridopustules are produced on the infected plant parts. So these iridopustules having the iridospores are present, and these iridospores acts as a secondary source of infections. Okay, then these iridopustules means after few days or few hours, these iridopustules become mature and develop the talitopustules on the same lesions. Means change the color of the iridopustules. Okay, so in this way, teleospores is produced on the talitopustules, and this teleospore germinate and to produce the basidiospores. Okay, so this is the just a general symptoms of the rust pathogens. Then etiological parts of these rust pathogens. So in regarding the rust pathogen, the some crops complete the life cycle of the rust pathogen on the same crop. So this is known as the autoceous rust, or they require the more than one host, means the main host as well as the alternate host. So this is known as the heterogeneous rust. Means in regarding the brown rust, black rust, then yellow rust or sunflower rust. This example of the heterogeneous rust. And in regarding the linseed rust, lentil rust, pea rust, this is the autoceous rust. Autoceous means the complete the life cycle of the pathogen on the same crop. Okay, so these uridopastules develop the uh, uridospores, teletopastules develop the teleospores. Okay, so uridospores is always single celled. Okay, teleospores is always bicelled except melanopsora genera. Okay, means in regarding the linseed rust, the teleospores and uridospores is always single cell, but other rust, uridospores is single cell and teleospores is two cell. Okay, then primary infection, that is a primary infection is Selson crops or other alternate and collateral host, and secondary infection is always takes place through airborne or windborne uridospores. Okay, and management, first that is a sanitation program, then second one eradicate the collateral and alternate host for break down the chain of this pathogen, then balanced application of the NPK. Okay, then uh, growing resistant variety, and spraying the effective fungicides, for example Xylab or triazole group fungicides over this crop to eliminate or to reduce the inoculum or reduce the disease level in that crops. Okay, so this is the today's lecture. Okay, so any doubt, ask me personally or send the SMS on my mobile number. Okay, now I stop the lecture